Here's a cute little earring pattern I just came up with. Would you like to do this? I know you would. This is a 1 centimeter mother of pearl disc, 6 millimeter African turquoise round bead, and 4 millimeter red tiger's eye bead. It's antique copper. I'm using 20 gauge, and these are just assorted jump rings and a little bit of chain that's also antique copper. And you got the antique copper hook, so it all blends in pretty well. So let's do this. First, make sure your disc is going to fit 20 gauge. I would totally do this in 22 gauge. I think 22 gauge would be just as pretty and be just as strong in the pattern I'm going to use if you do it the same way. So take about, to be on the safe side, let's take about 7-8 inches. Probably not going to use the whole thing, but just to be safe. Now I tested this to make sure that it goes through, but a lot of these little discs, the holes won't take 20 gauge. Again, 22 is just as good. And then, so just stack the beads on. Bring the smallest bead almost to the end. You're just gonna save less than a centimeter, just enough to make a little tiny loop. And remember, always bend it a right degree angle backwards and then roll it the other way to get your loop to be nice and situated right. Like so. Just trying to get that camera to focus. All right, let's get that a little tighter. And now bend this tight against the stone at the top and make another loop. You can use, probably want to use your round nose for this. Not too big, not too small. Oh, this camera does not like to focus today. I think it doesn't like the black background. Let's change that. There we go. That seems to be a little bit better. So hold it tight and roll it. Get it nice and tight in there. And then I'm just going to do, we're going to go around once like that. Just wrap it around itself. Sorry, I fell out of camera for a second. And now we're just going to make this nice, pressing against the stone, we're just going to make this nice curve right here. And then we're going to go around inside the crevice, diagonal cross, inside the crevice behind, diagonal cross, inside the crevice of the loop. Now we want this loop and this loop to face the same way. So if they start turning on you, just turn them back once you're done doing your other parts. Now we're going to come all the way around here, and if we went back across the diagonals, it would cross the other way. They would make X's. I don't want to make X's. I want to double up the diagonal we have already. So what I'm going to do is hold this tight with my fingernail and come across. And again, this would be even easier with 22 gauge because you got to kind of muscle it a tiny bit. Get it. And now we're going to go across the same diagonal in the crevice, but this time we're working our way up across the same diagonal. So we're doubling up the diagonal and making it look kind of cool. Up. And this time we're not going to go across this stone. We're going to come up the back, and we're going to go, see, we're coming up the back right there. Then we're going to go around the loop at the top once, and then with whatever we have left, we're going to make a swirl. Now I actually did give myself just barely enough. I'm going to cut a tiny bit because I basically want about 1.5 inches or 3 centimeters for my swirl. You can practice. Your swirl might be bigger or smaller, but I basically want a swirl to just be on the face of this stone. So pinch the end, turn a little loop like we usually do when we're making a swirl. Pinch it tight, careful not to slip, turn it sideways and start to roll it. You can make your swirl super tight. You can make it a little bit loose so there's space in between, but just keep rolling it and rolling it until you get to the base, and then push it right where you want it, right like that. Now, because normally I wouldn't leave a swirl loose like this, but because these are earrings and they're not going to take as much a beating as a necklace or a ring or something, I'm going to say it's okay if you press it flat against the stone. It's probably not going to get snagged too easily, but just to be on the safe side, because when earrings can catch on hair and stuff, and we're going to take our fingernail, or you can take your pliers, either way, we're going to lift this little loop we made originally. Just lift it, and we're going to press and slide the swirl under that loop. So now it's tucked just a little bit. So now it is very, very, very much safer from being snagged. Now just position, bend from every position. Make sure you want it to be straight. You want both loops to face forward. I just mess with my piece. I look at it from every position. I make sure it's completely straight up and down. It's not bending one way or the other. And then basically just pick some little jump rings and maybe a bit of chain and just make a pattern. I have my pattern kind of swell out to a wide part of the chain and then come back down tapered to smaller and smaller jump rings, sort of. Pretty much used what I had, but I think it came out looking pretty good. Where'd that original one go? Now this, I think I did better with this one. The swirl's a little bigger on my first one. So maybe take closer to 2 full inches to do your swirl, or 4 centimeters, maybe even 5 centimeters. But at this point, you're just, like I said, just have a bit of chain hang down, which is kind of cute. It doesn't have to be different sizes like I did, but you know, however you think looks good. I really liked, I got this little bit of chain where it goes big, small, and I just cut it so I only used small, big, small, just 3 links, and then the rest was just jump rings. But anyway, fun times.